hope for the best. So yeah, this is it's recording.
Episode
3.
3.
Finally got round to it,
Yep.
which is obviously leads on to the topic that everyone's been saying that they reckon we should speak about, which is how you sort of balance a creative life as well as doing like a normal sort of job, which obviously I can't really speak too much on, to be fair. That'll more be a you thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a normal job.
Yeah.
I don't really do anything apart from, well, obviously I have my
When did you stop?
not last September, the September before. Yeah, so it's like it's 2.5 years that I've been fully self-employed. But obviously up until then I can speak. And I can speak about obviously the rewards that were, like, personally for me, the rewards I got by obviously stopping and going like putting the work in so that I could go full-time self-employed.
Yeah, because it's something you got to build up to, isn't it? It's like a lot of people think, sometimes a lot of people have in their head like, oh, I want to do this thing. And they might be at the start of doing that thing and then be like, right, now I can just stop. And it's like, well, you kind of got like, I imagine you've done it where you have to like build up to, like you had been DJing for years before you then stopped. Like,
Yeah,
you can't like just start and then stop the other thing. And then,
to be fair, I got a good opportunity which allowed me to do that. Obviously it, like, me personally, I feel it came from a lot of the work I put in.
Yeah.
I did things a lot differently to a lot of other DJs. I feel I did things a lot differently anyway. Like, I took a hell of a lot of jobs for a hell of a small amount of money.
Yeah.
And I kept doing it. So like when I started DJing, for instance, it was do you know the Pearl? Do you know the Rocker? So like on the triangle, you got the.
This is how out of touch I am.
Yeah, to be fair, when we went out, we never touched the triangle, did we? I don't think we ever went or anywhere up there. There's on the triangle. There's Brass Pig here, Embargo's here, and then when you go around the corner, there's a pizza place called Sorrentos. Just next to that, there's like a really weird club called La Rocca, which is like some weird, like, go downstairs, it's like disco all the time. And then next to it there used to be another club. Back when I started DJing, it was called Taboo, and I did Tuesdays and I think Thursdays for £40 a night on top of my normal job. So pretty much going to that night for 5 hours was making me nothing basically. By the time you account for the amount of time, how tired I was the next day, the amount of time it took out of my day, and like what's 40 divided by 5?
But that's the thing, like, that aspect, I think that's why you're where you're at now, because, or part of it, it's because it's that grind. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't want to do. Like, a lot of people try and get shortcuts to places, or they can't put the pride aside and think, oh, you might win yourself, and you probably back then like, oh, I'm worth more than this, and you know that. But at the same time, it's like, well, I got to get my foot in the door, and if I want to get my foot in the door, you kind of got to make sacrifices here and there. And like, that is an example of one you made where it was like, okay, I'm not getting paid what I feel like I deserve here. It's kind of maybe taking its toll on me in terms of tiredness levels for my actual job. I got to go and work the next day, but I got to start from something and try and build my name somewhere. And
but you know what? I think personally, that's where I did things a lot differently. This is where I'd probably sound different. Is that a lot of DJs? There's DJs that are worth money, right?
Yeah.
DJs are worth money because we're quite niche. It's rare to find a good DJ, and then it's even rarer to find like an exceptional DJ.
Yeah.
But there is loads of us, but it's just rare to find these good ones. But where a lot of DJs go straight up, right, I've done this and this, I'm worth this. I don't think that I'm worth anything more than I'm paid like now. So when I first started, I was like, no, I'm not worth more than £40 because I just started. Nowhere near am I worth. Like, I didn't even think I was worth 40 quid. That was just a bonus. I was going to DJ for free. But then I moved up, and it's like now I'm probably floating at sort of, it averages between say 35 an hour to like 50 an hour. And I think that's perfect. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that I'm worth anything more or less than that. Doesn't matter if I've got 10,000 followers, 4,000 followers, 2,000 followers. I think DJs go up and up and up and up, and they say, right, I'm worth this, and this. But I don't think that, like, for a lot of DJs, there's no ceiling.
Yeah, you got to be a bit realistic. And also, like, as I imagine for you, like, when the passion drives it, it's like, obviously you want to get paid for your work, but when the passion is driving something that you do, the money itself almost feels like a bonus, like, in a way. Like, and obviously now, at this point now, that is your direct source of income, so you need the money. But, like, at the same time, it's like you're doing it for the love of what you do, and then you're getting the money for it. Whereas if some people, I feel like, and this can go for anything, like if you do any sort of creative minded thing, it's like they may automatically think, right, where's the money coming from in this? And it's like a lot of times, and if you listen to like a lot of successful people, they'll tell you you've almost got to forget about the money to begin with to a degree, because you've got to like focus on the craft and like build it and get the experience or get, the recognition. And then once you kind of do all that in place, the money will then eventually come and it will be worthwhile. But sometimes I think people try and jump into things thinking,
Yeah.
right, I want to get paid this amount for this right now. And it's like, but have you shown anyone, that, if X amount of people are getting paid this for this type of work, have you shown anyone that you're up that level or got that level of experience yet? And it's like,
or worth more than that. Yeah, no, I see it as it might be wrong, it might be right. I don't think there's a right or one way to think about it, but I see it as there in anything to do, like specifically, I'd say, well, no, I wouldn't even say specifically, but I think when you're in a job, you get a promotion, you're paid more, right?
yeah.
I see self-employed like that.
Yeah.
I don't see, like, a lot of people see self-employed as, right, I'm gonna charge what I'm worth.
Yeah.
But I see it as like, nah, like even if you're self-employed, there's still like employment levels of jobs.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, it was like midweek DJ, few nights a week DJ. Then it was like full-time DJ, right? Now the only time that I'll ever request more money is if there's another job which is just as sort of beneficial to my career that offers me more.
Yeah.
And then all I do is I say, so I'm paid this with you. I've been offered this here for this. Would you like to match it?
Yeah.
If they say yeah, I stay with them.
Yeah.
If they say no, I go, obviously. If it's a job, for instance, that's like completely different or like nowhere near as beneficial, I won't even consider leaving. But the way I see it is like you've got part-time DJ and then you've got like full-time DJ, which is like where I'm at now. And then like in my eyes, you've got guest DJ, which is where you're popular enough or good enough at what you do to where people will ask you to go out of the city and stay the night and just do a few hours.
Yeah.
And that's when you charge more.
Yeah.
And then you've got like sort of international and like superstar DJ like Calvin Harris. Mate, I went to Ibiza last year or the year before, I can't remember what it was, and Calvin Harris was performing at Swire. And we managed, I don't know how we managed to do it, we managed to start having a conversation with the manager of a Swire. We were just asking him, like, what's going on, right? Calvin Harris is paid 250 grand an hour.
This is mad.
Like,
mad.
He does every Friday
Yeah.
for 1 hour. So he's paid £1 million a month.
Just
according to this DJ.
Just from that as well.
According to this manager, yeah, he's paid 250 grand to book him. And that's crazy. But yeah, so like the way I see it is that it goes in stage that it's not so much, oh, well, I've done this, and this, I perform with this person, this person, this person. So now I'm going to start charging more because everyone's still got bills they got to pay, everything like that. And at the end of the day, unless you're in a position where you're going to bring people or like you're going to increase that crowd or you're going to add to that club, like for instance, like if I got so big, I don't know, 15, 20k on TikTok, Instagram, to the point where I knew if I started working at Cardiff, more people would go to the club in Cardiff, then I'd say, look, I'm worth this, so pay me.
Yeah, and like more of a draw. Like people are coming, I can bring an audience to your venue by just being there, that type of thing.
Yeah, but that's the way I see it. So like my next stage now is to become a guest DJ, which is where like I put out so much content or such good content, and I've done so much that now people are like, you know what, like we'd love to book you for an hour, maybe an hour and a half somewhere. And then once I do that, then I step out of my daytime sort of roles or like my nighttime roles every week. And I go, right, I'm going to charge this, this and this, you know? Or you go down the other route. So obviously being a DJ, you meet a lot of people, and if you do have people you can bring places, they will come to your events. If you do an event, your money goes up like tenfold.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So like if you were to take door on an event as opposed to DJing for an event, your money can go anywhere from anywhere from one ticket to what? So you take the ticket money on the door.
Yeah.
So if you sell one ticket at £5, you make £5. If you sell 100, you've made £500 just like that. So there's other avenues, but yeah, I think a lot of DJs that I know, they're like, right, I'm worth this, so I'm charging this. It's like you've got to still be doing it for the love. Like for me, I have a way I like to live. I have this like the nice flat, like nice Mac, nice phone. And if I make enough to do that and still put savings back and not stress,
then you're all
I
good.
don't need to push for more. Like, why am I going to push for more? Because you push for more, eventually you get to so much that you limit where you can be booked. Do you know what I mean? So like, for instance, I would consider myself a main room DJ now.
Yeah.
But tonight I'm not doing main room. Tomorrow I'm doing main room. Wednesday I'm not doing main room. Like, Thursday I do like 2 hours after a band.
So the thing about that, which is good, is like that shows like a level of humbleness. Because I think a lot of things that, especially in like when it comes to any type of like music profession and like with DJs, I think ego can sometimes get in the way of it a lot.
Yeah.
Like if their name's not at the top of the sheet, or if they're not in the main room, or if I'm not main room, I'm not gonna do it because I want to be main room. Blah blah blah. Maybe because, and you can see why some people may think that, because if they've steadily been consistently doing main room, you would then potentially think to yourself, oh wait, but no, I'm not going down. But it's not going down. It's kind of like just facilitating like the different areas where you're needed. And like you said, when the passion drives it, you'll be fine doing that because you're still doing what you love. You're just in a different room. Like, and if you're as good as you think and claim you are, you're still gonna draw people in for what you're doing anyway. So like,
the whole idea of a DJ is not to bring people into a club. Like that's the events promoter.
Yeah, it's like the idea give them a good time.
One, make sure they're enjoying themselves. Keep a crowd.
Yeah,
I see DJing as like I've got roles in DJing. Do you know what I mean? Like tonight I'm not a main room DJ. They got do you remember Devilman? Yeah, he's performing at Baths.
Oh, really?
But so like they have a main room DJ with him, and then I'm upstairs, like just doing the background music. But I don't mind, like, because it's my job. So like, eventually in your job, you're gonna have to do roles that like aren't what you think your role is. But I still enjoy it just upstairs. Like if anything, I like upstairs because it's actually a break.
But I was literally about to say that, because like in some ways it's almost like a quieter night for you, a more slightly relaxed one where you're not the direct center of attention in control of like the whole vibe of the main room, which is kind of like, especially like before this recording started, like you're saying, like you've been a bit knackered the past few days. So it sounds like that could be the more optimal thing for you tonight anyway, instead of having to go into the full main room when you're feeling like a bit tired. Then, I feel like passion drives a lot of whatever you do creatively. It's like the passion is what matters most. Like when I think about me, and like it's weird to think now, because every time when I think of how the internet is now today and what everyone does on the internet, whether it's like making content and things like that, and I look back to when I like started doing it, it's like it was so long ago now, and I'm like, look at how the world changed. Like, so I first started, I randomly, when I was 16, or maybe 15, I can't remember, just put a camera up one day in my room, just sat down, and I was like, I'm just gonna talk about, I think it was Nicki Minaj's album, or a Pink Friday album just came out.
You're way too young to listen to that.
But like, and I started talking about that, and I started talking about a film as well, and then I just uploaded it on YouTube randomly. And I didn't have, and this is another thing I want to get onto like a bit later, about when you've like really driven by passion to achieve something, you'll use whatever you have available. Like you may not have the best camera, the best thing, you'll find something. So for me in that case, I wanted to record. I didn't have a camera, so I used the PlayStation Eye camera from the PS3. Set that up. I didn't have a tripod, so I stacked game cases, put it up, and lined up.
That is
hit record.
Like recording the ghetto.
Yeah, it is. Like literally, like just grinding from wherever you have, and I remember it was probably like a year and a bit into doing YouTube, then I finally then saved up and bought a little camera.
Yeah.
But I recorded that, put it on YouTube. Didn't really think much of it, but I just put it on there, and then like people started like watching it. It wasn't like a lot of people. It might have like had like, I don't know, 50 views on it or something. But then I started getting a couple comments, and I'm like, wait a minute, like random people are commenting on this. And then I'd respond back, and I'm like, oh, I'm actually talking to these people. And this was like back in 2010. So it was like the social media was like in its infancy then. So like it was still quite uncommon, and people were trying to find new ways to use it. Like, how could we use YouTube? How could we use Facebook and all these things? And then once I started getting that engagement, I was okay, let me do this again. And like I then recorded another video, and then like the audience started to grow, the engagement started to grow, and then that just became a hobby. Like I was going to school, and like whereas other kids would finish school and then they'd go out, I don't know, mess around in the park, drinking, blah, blah. I was at home just like recording videos and like constantly doing that and building up an audience. And I think it wasn't until, I can't remember what year it was, but like it was pretty quick. Probably within the first year, I then like got offered to YouTube's partner program, which back then was once again something that people didn't really know a whole lot about back then.
Yeah.
And like I joined it, and then a few months after that, I remember getting like this letter in the post, and it was from like Google headquarters in New York. And I'm like, what's this? And I opened it, and it was like a check. And I was like, wait, what?
No,
I was like, wait, what? I'm making money off this? And it's like, I never knew. Like, and once again, it goes back to that thing. It's like, I never started doing that for the sake of money. I didn't even know you could make money on YouTube back then. I did it just because of the passion. And then as a result of the passion and consistency, money started to come from that. And then like, yeah, so like a large part of my life, it's weird to think now because it's been so long ago, but a large part of my life has been either through making content creation, reviewing films, video games, music. And I've been doing that since I was like 15. And even like now, I'm still doing that. And then I've kind of, as the years have gone by, progressed through different formats. So like I did YouTube from 2010 up until like 2018, like proper consistently. I think I did over 1,000 videos on YouTube in that time.
Jesus.
And like the channel, I can't remember what my subscriber number was. It wasn't as high as I would have liked. It was somewhere in the thousands, like probably near 10,000. But the overall channel video views were over like 3.5 million. And like, I think it was more so life. Like I got to that point in life where like so much is going on, like that you kind of start to slip away from it because you haven't got the time. Like you're focusing on your main job and all these other things, and like so then I started to slip away from it in 2018. But then what I did is instead of doing the reviews for the films in video form, I did it in written form and did it on like a blog.
Like yeah, they were massive at one point.
Yeah, and like so I started doing that, and then now what I've done is after doing that, I've then transitioned into like doing it in podcast form and things like that. But then the interesting thing that's come about once again from this random hobby that like then became like a career path is through what I was doing, it started to draw attention from like video game developers and film studios, and through that I've been able to then like build up a career from it like professionally. I remember I think it was around 2011. I went to it was Game Fest. It was like one of those game convention things.
Yeah.
And I saw the game Prototype 2. I saw like a behind closed doors preview of
that was a brilliant game.
Yeah, like I went straight to YouTube and like reviewed the preview. And the developers saw that video because they commented on it and they like emailed me. And through that, because Activision was the publisher of that game, so obviously Activision like in control of Call of Duty, Overwatch, things like that. So that through that, I managed to get a contact with Activision and their promo team. And I remember this was one of those just ballsy things I did as a kid, where like I just took the risk for why not. Like I remember I was talking with them, and they're like, "Oh, we want to like reward you for doing this and all that." So they sent a signed copy of the first prototype to me and like a custom poster for the second one. And then by the time the second one came out, I just had the balls to say, "Oh, would it be possible if you could send me like the collector's edition so I can review it?" And they're like, "You know what? Yeah." And they did it. And I got sent like a £90 collector's edition.
Do you know what? On that topic, like, weirdly enough, that you just said that, right? It's so I find it weird how like certain things happen in real life. But I was literally talking to I went to help one of my friends out. He's support a club in Bristol. I was helping out, just doing some painting, and someone walked in who I've met before, but we never really had many conversations. But he's a proper down to earth guy. You ever watched Gogglebox?
I've seen it. Yeah.
You know Tristan Plummer?
I recognise the name.
He's on Gogglebox. Yeah. Anyways, he walked in. I'm sorry. Oh, you right? You right, Tristan? How you doing? Anyways, he's getting ready to like I think work like with James in this club or whatever. Potentially does some events. I'm not too sure. Anyway, I was just speaking to him. He's like, yeah. He's like, to be honest, with he's like, I'm different to other DJs. And I was like, oh, like how would you say you're different and stuff? He's like, I'm that guy. And I was like, what do you mean you're that guy?
What are you talking about, bro?
Like, do you mean you're that guy as in like you're the tip top? And he's like, no, he was like, I'm the guy that would just ask. And I was like, because I literally speaking to him, I was like, I said, how would you say you go around getting like abroad? And then he was like, bro, just ask. I was like, yeah, but like, do you really want to be like sliding into DMs or something? Like, oh, hey, bro, like, could you take me to Ibiza with you? Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. Like, he was like, yeah. I was like, oh.
That's simple.
No, he was like, ah. He was like, yeah. He was like, I'm that guy. Like, that's me. That's what I do. He was like, I'll go up, I'll message. I'll be like, yo, like, can I do a warm up? Can I do this? Can I do that? And it got me thinking. I was like, you know what? Like, I don't ever put myself out like that.
Yeah.
And now you just said that. I don't ever do it. Like I'm never the person, because I always. Do you know what it is? It's not because I don't want to do it. It's not because I think I'm above it. It's not because I think I'm too good for it. It's because I don't. I think it's going to annoy that other person.
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself, like, and this is another thing he said, bro. It was like bro, I felt inspired, man. I was chatting to him, yeah, in a broke down club, like bottom of some stairs. I got like mud and paint all over my face. It was inspirational chat, and he was like, bro, the answer's always no until you ask. I was like,
but that is so true. It's so true. It's sometimes
it just sounded like it makes so much sense.
It's those simple things, like it is sometimes the simplest things that you already know. It's just you just need reminding of it.
Oh, maybe.
Like, and when I go back to that thing, like when I think back to that thing with me, it's like I'm proud of my younger self for just doing that, because like I feel like I didn't put too much thought into it. It's like I just did it. It was almost like, I want this review thing. Let me ask.
Yeah.
Let me email Activision Corporation, who run Call of Duty. I had used this one contact that I just got. They could have turned around and be like, no, and then like removed me from the little listing and never bother with me again. But they turned around and said yes. And then from that, it was like a little avalanche of games. So I remember for those next few years, I didn't even have to ask them then. They would just send them. So like I remember I got Black Ops 2, got sent that for free. Some of these games I didn't even know, because they didn't even let me know sometimes. I'd end up going buying the game, and then like another copy would just arrive. I'm like, oh, like you sent me it as well. Yeah, like I remember around then they had the Family Guy game, Call of Duty games, Destiny when that came out on PS4, got that for free.
That was such a good game.
But a bunch of these games, and I was like,
well, that was Bungie.
Yeah, and like it was just crazy. Like, and when I think back to it now, like I was 16, 17, 18, 19, around that age, getting all these games for free to just review. And that was off the back of like me just recording myself talking about this stuff because I love to talk about it. And then it just stemmed from there. And then the same thing happened on the film side. So the first Blu-ray box that I got sent was Game of Thrones season 2. They like gave me that for free to review. And then what happened on the film side of it as well is you get invited to like screenings of films to review. And
you got one yesterday, weren't you? Or was that?
Oh no, that was like a public one. That one. But that's for like Lord of the Rings. And then what happens through that is you eventually then get put on like the press list for like these different studios. So whenever they do have these screens, you tend to get sent the invites for them, or any sort of like film festival type thing as well. So I go to the London Film Festival.
Well, you got to take to one of those. Right?
Yeah, like, and you go to like the premieres, and like it's really like a fun experience because you get like this communal experience with like-minded people and like different critics and stuff. But then sometimes, depending on the premiere you go to, you'll see the actors. You'll be walking red carpet alongside the actors sometimes, which is really jarring because you're just like, that's so and so.
Yeah.
Or like when you're in the cinema, you'll then see them. They'll come in and introduce the film, and you're like. So, for example, the craziest one for me was Black Panther when that came out.
Chadwick.
Yeah, like I was sat like a couple rows from the front. I brought my dad to that one, and like I saw. So the cast of Black Panther: Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera, Daniel Kaluuya, Martin Freeman, Andy Serkis, the director Ryan Coogler, like all of them just walk out in front of me, like a few feet away from me on stage, and introduce this film, and it's like, this is crazy. Like these are like any premieres like special as like a critic when you go to, because you're like, this is still a premiere, as people presenting their work. But this is like literally, this is the thing I'm like obsessed with. This is Black Panther. This is Marvel. These are all these actors. Michael B. Jordan, like I've admired since he first started. All these actors. I used to love Walking Dead. Denai Guerrera plays Michonne in The Walking Dead. Like Martin Freeman's Bilbo in The Hobbit. Andy Serkis's Gollum. It's like all these people I've grown up like appreciating and watching, and like they're in front of me right now introducing this movie.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I'm sat here.
The lady with the samurai.
Yeah.
Has a zombie slave.
Yeah, and it's like, this is crazy, and it's like, and that's like that's the big thrill of like what I do in terms of like the critic stuff. Like I still feel the passion for talking about the films and things that I love, and that's great, and that will always carry me through. But then every now and again you get that almost like highlight reel moment at the end of it where like it almost pays off in a premiere or a film festival where you get to see a film early that you've been looking forward to or something like that, and an avenue. And like what you were saying with DJing, where like you leave room for yourself to grow, so you don't name that big price to start with. Like an avenue that I've been able to be a part of that I haven't really gone out into yet is actually the press junkets. So if I want to at these film festivals, I'd be able to go out there with my camera, set up, and try and get some interviews done with like cast and crew.
Why haven't you done that yet?
I feel like partially I feel like I haven't prepared myself for that side of it yet, but also at the same time, it's because I know I've got like a lot of space to kind of grow. Yeah. So like I know like I'm in no rush to do that side of it.
That's and a quick point actually, just before we move on too far from it. Like remember I said to you when we said these podcasts, I said because of like who you are and who I am, there'll be so many things that we could bounce off.
Yeah.
There's a point I was going to make. So when you were sat like 3 steps away, once you get into these industries and you start like doing it like and you're actually in it, it becomes normal, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like back in the day, like when you actually think about that shit, like stuff happening, you're like, oh, like I'd love to do this. Like it's the same as me. So like, do you remember we used to go to prison and listen to DJ Gardens?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, bro, within about a year, I was on the same lineups as Gardens.
Yeah.
And like now, it's got to the point where Gardens is asking me for work.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. But then on top of that, it's like we used to listen to. I mean, you not so much, but we used to listen to uh like Be Young and ZZ or Zai, however you want to say it. And it's like I've been on lineups with them. Like I've sat them down in booths. Like I've sat down with them and had a drink with them afterwards and stuff. Like, it's become so normal now. Like, all these like. I'd probably say mid-level celebrities. I don't know, that might be offensive, but I'm not too sure. Like where, like they probably consider themselves full celebrity. But it's like on Saturday, there was a massive mess up. Basically, I was on the same lineup as Gecko, and I was meant to basically be warming up for him to come on with his DJ.
Yeah.
And basically he fell ill in the car on the way down. So he was just in the car, like basically like near throwing up.
His DJ or
Gecko himself.
Him? Oh,
yeah.
right.
So Gecko didn't actually end up showing up to the event, but he was in Bristol. He was sat outside the venue, and the guys come over to me. He's like, "Yeah, Locks, like, thanks for finishing. Obviously, Locks is my DJ name. They don't know my real name." He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Come to the car." So he's like, sat in the car. He's like, "Yeah, this is Gecko. He's not well." And Gecko was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, bro. Like, I didn't mean to do this. Like, I'm sorry I put you in a position." I was like, "Wait, so." Gecko, the guy is saying sorry to me. So I'm sitting there like, yeah, it's all right, bro.
Yeah.
I just turned around and was like, I didn't know what to do. I was just like, oh no, it's right, man. Like, do you want a bottle of water? Like, I didn't know where to go with it.
But it is those type of things.
They become so normal, doesn't
it? And it's when you're once again, that's what I say. When you're a humble person, these things pass you by sometimes, because it's not until like these things happen multiple times over that you then sit and think back. And you're like, wait a minute. Wow, that did happen. I was in this room with this person. That's the thing. And it's because it does become so normal to you, and you are so humble that you're not like, it just takes a time to register, and you're like, wait, that did happen. And it's crazy. It's crazy because, like, if you were to sit and make a list of all those type of moments, probably be massive.
It's huge,
but it's like off the top of your head or in the moment, like you're not really thinking of it that way. But then it's like, it's mad how those things happen. But those are like the rewards, the little subtle rewards, and to just let you know that you're on the right path and that you're still going somewhere, because it's like you are conversing with all these people that like you may have listened to when you were younger or stuff like that. And it's like now it's you don't idolize those people specifically, but it's like that saying where like your idols become your peers. Like you're kind of moving into that industry and into that space where you're almost on a level playing field with those people. So like they see you as an equal in a way because you're all a part of that same industry.
And it's like how far you could go. Like you said, we went full circle. We went from attending Brooklyn Zoo, now I'm DJing Brooklyn Zoo, and like on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week, I'm literally doing the O2 Arena, like in the Apex Lounge, and I'm warming up all the VIP guests for D Block Europe's tour.
That's crazy.
Like that's what I'm doing in a few days.
No,
like,
that's a big one.
And it's crazy, like stuff like that. I've just received an email basically asking if I wanted to like have like a set at Park Life, like which is like a massive one in Manchester. And like 50 Cent played that not so long back. So there's a massive chance.
That's the thing. Like those are like good milestones to hit, especially like the D Block Europe one, because they're massive in this country. You think of the audience they draw in. Think of the VIP audience they're going to draw. You'll probably end up meeting someone there because like their VIP audience is probably going to be some notable people that you recognize. So, and the fact that then they're putting that on you to then entertain them, and it's like that is a big achievement. Like, and it's those type of things. They just come in a flow, and like it's all about just getting that. Like what I'd say to anyone that's got some sort of passionate thing they want to pursue is like you just got to get the ball rolling. You just got to start. Like, sometimes you might overthink, and it's easy to do. Like overthink and be like, oh, this isn't the right time for me to start this, or I haven't got this to do this. Just do it. Like, and it goes back to what I said about the camera. Like, I just decided one day I want to start recording. I didn't have a camera except for this little PlayStation thing that looked like CCTV footage. Still did it. One thing, if I look at my old YouTube videos, that's really funny. The lighting was terrible in like, so many of them because I didn't have any lighting. I'd used the room lighting, and like if some of those videos you couldn't even. I'm not even trying to be. But my dark skin, in a dark room. Some of them videos you can't even properly see me, but I still did it. Uploaded it because you can hear my voice. I'm like, yeah, they can still hear my voice, literally. So you can still hear my voice. So I'm gonna put it up, and people still engage with it. They didn't care because it was like
podcasts before.
Before podcasts became a thing, I was making them like literally. But like it's that type of thing, and like like and when I think of, and it goes back to what I was saying, one thing I missed, which I actually really regret. Because it was one day of the film festival that I didn't go to a couple years ago. It was for the film The Harder They Fall. They had like a press event, where it was like a sit-down conference kind of thing, and it was in like a hotel in Mayfair.
Yeah.
And like obviously the cast of that film would have been, so it would have been Jonathan Majors, Idris Elba, Regina King, Lakeith.
Is Majors the one that's just been arrested?
Yeah, him. Yeah.
What do you think is gonna happen with that, by the way?
Oh, he's
because obviously Marvel can't use him anymore, right?
Yeah, they fired him. He's already been convicted, so he's been convicted. I think he's just waiting for sentencing.
But like, obviously with Marvel, their entire next phase was him as the bad guy.
Apparently, they're trying to move away. They're looking at moving away from Kang, maybe like trying to swerve and like wreck on it.
How do they swerve? This guy is going to come and kill everyone.
They've because I think they postponed the Kang Dynasty, so the next 2 Avengers films, which are meant to come out next year, I think, they've postponed those now. So I think they're going to try and like rewrite it from the ground up. And as for him, I don't know if he's going to survive in Hollywood at all, because Hollywood loves to like. But my issue with Hollywood, this is like a side note, but Hollywood loves to pick and choose. Like, there's no morality scale in Hollywood, like, and it goes for a lot of the entertainment industry, really. Like, they'll pretend to be, oh, this is a bad thing, and we don't condone that, so we're getting rid of this person because of this. They only do it based on their own optics. So for Marvel, that would look bad for Marvel, because this is fresh in the news right now. Josh Brolin, who plays Thanos, he admitted to beating his wife.
You mean Thanos?
Thanos, yeah.
Thanos. I was like, wait, who was this?
Jeremy Renner, who plays Hawkeye, I think his
that happened again.
I think his wife said that he beat her. So there's a lot of people that are already in these Marvel movies that have done domestic abuse stuff, but because it's not fresh in the news now, it's like Marvel's fine with it. So it's like this kind of, and then when you look at people like Brad Pitt, like his own adopted children came out and said like he's assaulted Angelina Jolie and assaulted them, and he's an abuser and a horrible person. But because he's Brad Pitt, Hollywood still, goes to the Oscars. They all love him up and all that stuff. So it's like, it's a very double standard type of thing. But
it's an interesting one. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, they put so much of the current dynamic, on this person being like this one enemy is going to come everywhere. It sounds like a really cool idea, but now this guy can't do it.
Backfire.
So what happens? Like, I think the only way they're going to be able to do it is if, like, honestly, they're probably just going to have to introduce like maybe a Marvel character they didn't necessarily want to introduce, and he's going to have to like come and sort of one shot.
I think that's what they're going to do. But I think because they now own the rights to X-Men and Fantastic Four, they might try and. There's rumors that they might swerve into Doctor Doom, because he's like one of Marvel's biggest villains anyway.
So yeah, he's trash.
But in the comics, he's pretty good. It's just the movies though. I think the Fantastic Four movies that came out like years ago, he was never good in those.
Because what is he? Just like sort of electric, right? That's it.
I can't remember all of his powers, but
I don't think he's got much. I'm pretty sure it was like he was part of the same cosmic.
Some comic fans gonna comment on this now, but actually, you're right. He's gonna, if you read issue 3 of this, he did this.
Oh, there's 7 million comics that are right.
Actually, there was one. No, it wasn't him, because there was one comic.
I know in the new Fantastic Four, the one that's got the one that's meant to be like coming from the current Marvel. I know that they sort of. I'm pretty sure he was teased as like, and he's meant to be quite powerful.
Yeah.
But from my knowledge of him, like outside of comics, which obviously the Marvel ones, they're not necessarily that comic based, are they? To be honest.
Yeah, they take inspiration, but they'll take a storyline that's from a comic and then completely do it their own.
So like, if you look at the actual current, like the current canon is what they call it, canonverse, right? Doom, he's like, I'm pretty confident he's just got sort of magnetic powers, like basically like a budget Magneto.
But I think he's like a psychological one as well, where like their mind is the weapon. You know those type of ones, like a Xavier from X-Men, where it's like that the mind is powerful, the intellect. But
yeah, no, I hope they do something with it. I mean,
they should bring Silver Surfer back. That'd be cool.
Silver Surfer, be good. I thought of who was I thinking of? I can't remember what I was thinking of, but like I know that I read this one. Like I find a lot of my inspiration from TikTok now. Like I fall into holes where I'm just reading stuff, and one thing leads to another. But was it like Ultimate Hulk or something, or like Radioactive Hulk or something like that?
Or
something like that. No, like Galactic Hulk or something. He's meant to be this basically.
Oh, Planet Hulk.
He's meant to be able to like one Planet Hulk. Yeah. He's meant to be able to one shot like anything.
But then the thing is, they did that in Thor, but they did it wrong, because they like nerfed the Hulk. Like
the one that speaks.
Yeah, because like. Was it Ragnarok where he was like, because that was Planet Hulk. They were adapting part of that into Ragnarok, where they found him on that planet and he was fighting.
That was Planet Hulk.
Yeah, like
okay.
But like. After that, it all went wrong, and it was a great scene, but it all went wrong for the Hulk after he got like beat up by Thanos in Infinity War.
Yeah,
started in Infinity War where he got like just punched up.
But they did that on purpose, didn't they?
Yeah,
because of how powerful.
They wanted to show how powerful it was, But then they made the Hulk retreat ever since, and he's like never been the same. Now he's a professor and just talks and does science.
That's because they're like, I remember reading about that, the exact reason. It was like fans hated it but loved it, but it was because everyone knew that if the Hulk was active, Thanos would have never been able to get as far as he did. So they had to do something to basically get rid of the Hulk, which was that he was scared to come out. But in on every other bit of paper, if the Hulk was out, Thanos would have got basically one tapped.
But the interesting thing, this is like another side note. I saw a random thing on Twitter the other day that went viral. You know, God of War and like Kratos, and there was a thing. It was like Kratos versus the Hulk, who would win? I feel like Kratos like wins that every single day of the week. Like
I think Kratos wins against most.
Yeah, because like Kratos is like slaying titans, gods. Like his body count is crazy. Like so, like the Hulk, especially MCU Hulk, I don't think would stand a chance against Kratos. But
that was probably one of the God of War was probably one of the only reboots I've ever thought that the reboot was actually better than the original games. There's every other time they try and bring out games and redo them, they're like a shell of the current of the. But that generally, like if I was to go back and play all the old God of Wars, even the PSP ones, these new ones trump them.
Like I still love, because I think I love those old games so much. Like I still have a lot of fun playing them. But then I think it was like that story, and like I remember playing like that 2018 God of War, and like I remember everyone being like a bit not nervous because everyone thought it looked good, but it's like, oh, they completely changed the combat here. It's so story focused. This is almost like The Last of Us in terms of its pace, but with God of War. And then playing him, but like, well, actually, this is like a really good story. Like,
but it was actually very combat focused, wasn't it? When you think about it.
And now the combat's really good. Like, I don't know if you played the new DLC they released, the second one, so God of War,
where you get the
Ragnarok,
swords.
Valhalla.
It's free, isn't it?
Yeah.
I haven't actually played. I own the game. To be fair, I own both the games, but I haven't actually done it and played it yet.
Oh, it's worth playing because that DLC was really good because it's basically like a roguelike where you kind of go through. It's like you going on loop, on repeat through these different stages and subtle variations on enemies and stuff. But there's like little story rewards at the end of each one, and you eventually get like this overall story. And the combat is basically a playground just to play with the combat.
Okay, and then I haven't played it yet. I should, but I think there was it God of War where you had like sort of the flashbacks or no sorry no. God, I played the first God of War DLC, which was Valhalla. There was another DLC in the first God of War, was there not, where you could like go into some like mythical. No, you know what I played? That was that.
completely different game.
It was Assassin's Creed.
But yeah, well, to be fair, I can see why you got confused.
Valhalla. There was a Valhalla DLC in Valhalla of Assassin's Creed where you go and actually play as a god.
So I never even played that Assassin's Creed, but because Assassin's Creed got so
I don't like them all.
Off the topic of Assassin's Creed, like Assassin's Creed used to be so simple, and then it's like in that one you're like dealing with Odin and Loki and
that's in the DLC.
Yeah.
Without the DLC, you don't like. It's weird. They put like subtle undertones into certain enemies that were meant to sort of, I think, portray if they were gods, they would be these people.
Because like I started playing Mirage, which is the new one, which was supposed to be the back to basics one.
There's nowhere near back to basics, is it?
It kind of is, but it's kind of boring at the same time. So I never finished it. I need to go back and play it. But the main character is called Basim, who was in Valhalla.
Okay.
And because he's like the Middle Eastern guy, but then they said I don't know what the ending of that game is, Mirage, but I heard someone say that like if you haven't played Valhalla, the ending of the new one's not gonna make any sense because it's all related to him and what he becomes in that game.
Which is obviously like annoying because the whole point of these new games is that you could play every game on its own.
Yeah, and go back to the basics of it. But
yeah, no, it's like I don't. Again, that's exactly the same one. Like if you said to me, right, do you want a full HD 4K 120 frames remastered Assassin's Creed where you're playing as Ezio, or even who was the one just after Ezio? Was it Connor? The Middle Eastern, and where like they introduce like climbing through trees, or do you want these games? I would always go back.
Yeah.
But God of War, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd I don't know if I would because they were like punch 'em ups.
Yeah, that type of games kind of died out, and I still love that type of games. It's like the hack and slash games like Devil May Cry and stuff. But what I find with that new God of War and that DLC of new God of War really is like a playground for you to just experiment with the combat. The combat system in that game is so good. Like the way like it's so in depth, to the point that I realized halfway through playing it, like I was kind of playing the main game wrong because I wasn't utilizing the full depth of the combat. Like you've got all these runes and stuff that you can use, like give you different abilities. And I don't think I was really using those when I was playing through the main story. But like they've done such a good job of like taking the essence of what God of War was and translating it into that new gameplay, and then like just giving it all the depth. Because like the moves you can pull off in this new one feel like some of the moves he used to do in the old ones.
Okay.
But the way you're doing it now is like so much more complex and just looks so much better and more cinematic. But and the payoff, that DLC story wise pays off the original games really well. Like the way it ends, I won't spoil it, but the way it ends, like as someone that's played through all those old games and loves them, it's like that is perfect. Like if God of War stopped now and they never made another one, that would be the perfect ending for the
DLC.
For the whole thing. Yeah,
there is going to be another 2 DLCs, right?
I'm not too sure, but if they stop there, I'll be all good.
But yeah, no. Anyway, moving back, like to what you said about the previous thing, I think, which was obviously what we wanted to sort of the genre of this podcast to be. I think the 3 main things I would say would be in terms of being a creative whilst doing a normal job is just getting it done, like you said. Being realistic about sort of milestones, like setting milestones and being realistic with yourself is very important. And don't spend too much money until you're making money, because I was in it before. Me and Abdi, when we first tried to do music, obviously, and I realized that rapping's not ever going to be for me. And that never will be for me, just because I just don't have the voice for it.
Yeah,
it's not even that I can't make raps. Like I make raps, I think they're quite good, but I just do not sound like someone who should be on the mic, even in DJing.
Yeah,
like even my mic working DJing, like it was quite funny actually. James, the one who's opened this like new club that I'm helping out, like set up and stuff. He's one of those people that like he believes in tough love, but he believes in tough, like, let me tell you exactly how it is, love. So imagine on the weekend, right? So we're DJing. We're not DJing. I'm DJing, and I'm stood on the decks, and basically the wire in the back of the CDJ, they use an Ethernet cable or an Ethernet, whatever you like to call it. You connect the two CDJs, and they basically speak to each other, and it allows you to put one memory stick in one CDJ and use it on both.
Yeah.
So it translates the data. So you can have all your songs on each without having to use 2 memory sticks all the time. Anyway, this corrupted the wire, basically broke midway through my set. So it's like I'm stood there like, and it's like this is quite a stressful situation. Probably one of the peak stress you'll get as a DJ. But like it's midway through the night, everyone's getting wound up because Gecko's still not here, and then all of a sudden I'm playing a Drogba house remix. So it's like when you tell me like Joanna, and the CDJ corrupts and just starts looping this one bit. And once that happens, the only way to do it, like literally the only way to fix it, from my knowledge anyway, is to turn them off. You have to turn them off, pull the memory stick out, plug it back in, and hope to God that the CDJ hasn't corrupted your memory stick. Because obviously stuff like that can happen, right? Yeah. So I'm like going on the mic and I'm like, oh, we're having a bit of a malfunction, guys. I'm like, I hope you like this song. Like, I'm just messing around. Anyway, so then we've dropped it down off. Like I've had to, like, guys, I'm really sorry. I'm having to turn it off, but I promise you I'm going to come back with a good song. I'm just setting them back up now. Bear with me, we're alright. So anyways, we're resetting it. It's taking time. I get back on. I look to the left on my phone, and literally James just messaged me. He's like, bro, you know I love you, but never go on the mic again. It's not for you.
Like, yo, but you can wait till the end of the night to tell me. He's like, kill my confidence in the heat of the moment.
I look at the phone and I'm like, oh, thanks, bro. I'm like, I had no choice. He's like, you know I love you, man. I'm just saying this to help you. He's like, you need an MC. Don't do it. No, it's just like, okay.
Well, I do appreciate people like that. That tell the honest truth. But anyway, like, damn, yeah. Can you not like just wait till the end of the night?
Just give me a sec, man. Like I'm already,
you're already stressed.
Like it's hot out here. Like you're stood. Yeah, imagine it's like the booths here. You got like I don't know. There's probably 600-700 people in front of me. A whole LED wall in the back behind you, just burning the back of my head.
Giving you neck a pan.
I was only met a DJ for an hour. I'm already 2 hours at DJ. I've already done double the amount of time I was met a DJ anyway. And then I just see that message. I was like, oh yeah, fair enough. But that's what he's like. So
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying.
Yeah, I know. He was like, you need an MC. Just don't do it. I was like, all right, cool. But anyway, that led me back to my point where I realized I shouldn't be on the mic years ago. I just tried it again. But we went down the route of Abdi was already a rapper. Abdi already did like music. He already got this, and I started doing it. And I was like basically I was like, I'm like, which is where I shouldn't be. I'm like it now, but I shouldn't have been like it back then. But I just pushed through it. I wouldn't recommend to push through it. That's a mistake I think I made. But I've always been someone that's like, let's make sure whenever people hear us, they hear the best version of us straight away, so that they get the best idea, and then they capture in. But I've learned that that's not necessarily the case. The more money you spend, the more expectation you have to earn from the hobby you have. If you have the money spare, like, don't get me wrong, if you're in a very good job and you've got 4, 5, 6 grand savings and you can spend the money, I would say, yeah, you know what, spend it and put a bit of money into it. But like, I've known DJs before that have went out and bought £1,000 decks, a 2 grand Mac, and then they've come and they've said, oh, like, I'm ready now, let's get some sets. And then like 4 months down the line, they're like, I've got no sets, like I haven't done it. It's like, yeah, but the reason that you're rushing for these sets isn't because you feel like deep down you're fully good enough for those sets. It's because you've put so much money into it that you now want that money back.
Yeah.
And then that then becomes less of doing something you love and a hobby, and it becomes more of, right, I'm investing this now and I want to see the return.
So it's like they've almost, when you do pursue something passion, and like you can break away from the norms of like society working to do something you're passionate about as work, it's like doing it that way almost brings them back to it, where it's like, oh, you're doing this for the money.
Yeah,
like everyone's working for money. Like, we can't lie, everyone wants money, but like, it's like you've almost killed the passion side of it for yourself because they invested too early and are expecting that return. So now they're working for the return, not for the passion. And like,
yeah, that's I would say that's the second. I'd probably say that's the second and probably most important out of the 3 points that I'd make as to how to sort of manage these kind of like lifestyles.
Well, quick, before you move on from that, yeah, like, because I feel like it comes with time. Like, you just do it progressively. So, like, if I can relate it back to me with the recordings of like the videos and stuff, I use that crappy camera that I had to begin with. A year and a bit in, once I like almost shown myself, okay, I'm doing this consistently, then got the little camera I had. I think a couple years after that, because I was using a laptop that whole time, just like a Asus laptop or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I remember in 2013, that's when I bought my first MacBook, and I was like, right, I'm leveling up. I'm going to use a MacBook to do all my editing and all that stuff. And then as time goes on again, I got a better camera, and then that's what it is. Like, over time, you do it. Whereas someone might have been me in that position at the starting point and been like, right, let me get the MacBook now, let me get this mic now, this camera now. And there's not something like necessarily wrong in doing that, but if it does change how you perceive your progress in terms of you wanting to make money back, then it's not necessarily worth it.
There's swings and roundabouts, and there's specific instances where that wouldn't actually be a bad thing. Like, for instance, if you've got an extremely high following already for something, and you want to translate your current following and you want to start doing something else, and everyone sort of encourages you to do that, then it probably becomes more important, well, not more important, but it becomes important to say that you give them the best that you can get, or like at least a very good like version of what you say you're going to do. But if it's something that you're completely experimenting, you're doing a normal job, you haven't really done anything like that, and you're just there, then it's like, right, it's like, what's the point? It's like I said to myself twice in this month, or are we still in January?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still going. This month has felt like half a year.
Yeah, this 7-month January. But I said to myself twice, so like I've basically put on a bet with my friend, the poor silly moose. Like, basically we've got this bet to see who can increase their 5K time, like between start of Feb to Jan, start of Feb to the end of Feb. We're not going for
years,
for 11 months, but yeah, no. So we see you could improve their time the most, and I start, as soon as I got home, I started going on. I was like, right, I'm going to buy myself some new gym stuff, because if I'm in nice gym stuff, I'm going to do better. And then I was like, no, like, why would I do that? Like, I still go gym now. Yeah, I'm still doing my thing, and until I can prove to myself that I'm actually going to commit to these runs, because I'm not the biggest commitment, like, committer. I don't. My words are all over the place today, but I'm not. I haven't got the most commitment when it comes to running, because obviously I've got the bad leg. Yeah. Like, as soon as stuff starts to hurt or like inconvenience me, like, I tend to like step away from it, that side, which is a very bad side of myself, but it's something that I'm trying to improve. But I said, if I can get 2 weeks out of the way of consistent running, so like I'm aiming to do a 3K on a Monday, 5K on a Friday. If I can do it for 2 weeks, then I'll invest and get myself some nice like under leggings and stuff like that. I did that. which is obviously like a point. It's like, just don't spend it until you know you're doing it. And then the second point was like, I wanted to start gaming, and this one actually paid off for me. I want to start streaming again and doing clips. And then what I found is, because I'm doing the podcast with you, encouraging myself to gym more, actually doing more music content, and now I'm back to DJing. I'm not actually on the PS5 or Xbox as much as I wanted to be, and I'm not making as many clips, and I haven't even went live. So like, initially when I said, oh, I'm going to do that, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna reinvest, get a new PC, get a new webcam, get this, get that, make sure my setup's perfect. And then I didn't even end up doing it, and now
they'll be sitting there collecting dust if you did all that.
Now I've taken a step away from it, and I don't regret it, like, and I'm quite happy that I didn't do that. But there would be a lot of people, and even my past self, my younger self, I would have definitely went in and spent £1,000 to £2,000 on a setup, and probably not even done it.
There's I'm trying to think of an example of me doing that in the past, because I know there would have been, because there's just been little avenues like that, especially, and I think it's a natural thing for creative people like me and you to do, because we are so, okay, I want to do this, let me go do this, and like you're so getting into that flow of, I want to try this thing, let me try this thing and go straight into it. And like, yeah, I can't think of an example, but there's definitely been times where I've done that myself. But then with the things you're most familiar with, so say for example, now with DJing, for example, for you, it's like, if you want to then, I don't know, the next latest thing comes out, you want to get it, that's quick and easy decision for you, because you know there's like a foundation for you to be using that. You know it's going to get used. Same with me, like if there's different avenues of reviewing and critiquing that I've changed. I've gone from YouTube, I've gone to written form, I've gone to podcasting and other things like that. And that's to do with like film review and video game reviewing. So anything in those mediums where something new might come out or a new piece of technology that might benefit it, I'll be much quicker to buy into that if I want it, because you've got that foundation, you know quite quickly how practical it would be and how it will benefit your workflow. But then if it's something new that I'm doing, like you said with like the running, it's like, let me prove to myself that I'm actually going to stick with this for a while, a minute, and I'm consistent with it. And that is, because another thing is, like, if you're trying to start something creatively, some people might think something is different to what it actually is. So if you're trying to do something, I'll use the running as an example, but you might have thought it would have gone one way and you'd feel one way about it, whereas you may end up disliking it, or there may be like a couple other obstacles that you didn't think of. And it's like, if you just jump into it with that purchase of X amount of things, in a month's time, you might turn around and be like, actually, I gave it a try. And this is a perfectly fine thing to do. Like, oh, actually, I gave it a try. Not for me. Move on.
Yeah.
And like, and in fact, another example, like, well, this is a kind of a bad example, really. Because like, I used to record music a lot as well. Like from school, from like age, God knows what. Well, I wrote my first song like at 9 years old. Like, I listened to 50 Cent. This is the story. I vividly remember the day, just randomly in my house. I could hear the speakers blasting downstairs, which is what my dad usually used to do. And I walked downstairs and just opened the living room door, and all I could hear was, go, 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 shawty, it's your birthday. And that was the first time I heard In the Club. And like, I had the Get Rich or Die Trying CD, and I remember listening to that. And like, that was one of the first times I can remember. I loved music when I was younger anyway, but that was one of the first times I remember really gravitating towards like a hip hop album, like the whole album.
Yeah.
I remember I used to listen to that religiously, and then like that made me try and start writing rhymes. And
you're in your room, like,
yeah, literally
another rap song.
and like this was back in the day, so it was literally like a pad and a pen, and I'm like writing, and like from then I always wrote music. And going into school, I then write and record, and like secondary schools where I got used to recording music. And it's funny though, because if I ever hear anything from back then, I did not have a flow. Like the flow was always terrible. Like, and back then I would have thought it was really good, and like Lil Wayne was a big artist for me back then that I loved. And like, I remember going in, and the issue that I had back then when I was making music back then, like 14 years old, is I wasn't going into the booth and being Terrelle. I was going into the booth to try and replicate Lil Wayne.
Or 50,
and I was trying to rap like Lil Wayne, and it's like, you can't do that. That's like the 101 of don't do that. Don't go in there and try to be someone else. You
gotta find yourself. But like, you get the inspiration
from the person, and then you bring it to your own thing. And then as I got older and left school, I still kept making music. And it was a real legit thing where I remember I made a couple albums worth of music, and I was literally on the cusp of dropping those albums and being like, let me see where I can go with this. And then like, things in life just changed. Like, I just took a different direction. I think I got into a relationship around that time, and I was more focused on that and let that stuff go to the back burner. And like, one thing I've always continued to do up until at least COVID is when I started to slow down after COVID, was although I wasn't then always recording the music, I was always writing, because I just loved writing the music. And like, it's that type of thing where back in when I was younger, so when I was like 18, I invested in like the mixer and the mic and all that stuff. And that actually turned out to be a really good investment. But that's an example I could give of maybe if someone now was thinking, oh, I want to make music. And it's hard really though, because you can't really make music without it. But like you want to be sure in yourself that you're going to stick to trying to make music before you invest in the mixer and the mic and all that, because that stuff gets expensive real fast. And if you buy all that stuff and then decide a month later, actually, I don't want to make music, that's just a waste of money.
Like, there's workarounds, isn't there? Like studios and stuff. But that's another bonus point as well. Is if you do feel like you've got a lot of stuff that like you want to try, just try it. Like, a lot of people don't, do they? A lot of people say, unless I generally really feel like I want to do it. Like I'm sat here, I don't really think that I'm going to enjoy running, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm here and I've got the time and I'm going to make £100 out of it. But yeah, so you don't really know like per se what you're going to like or what you don't. But if there's generally things that you feel that you want to sort of like jump into and try, just try it all, because you never know. One of those things you will probably love, and then that could end up being something that you do for a long time or even for the rest of your life.
And it's one of those things as well, like I don't really get sometimes when you talk to some people and they might be like, oh, I'm bored. Or some people are like very bored very often. And it's like, how are you bored? It's like, there's X amount. You could do anything. Like literally anything. Like the internet exists. So like you can learn anything, try do anything. How can you be bored? And like that plays into it where it's like, there's X amount of new things you can try. And it doesn't mean you have to stick with it for the rest of your life, for 6 months or anything. But you could try it.
You can apply yourself to anything.
Like you could try it and give it a go, see how it goes for you. It might not work, and if it don't work, it's fine, but you tried it. And you found out. Whereas if you don't try, you're never going to find out.
But yeah, I don't think we actually sort of hit the nail on the head of the topic that we were meant to speak about. I think we went
quite sidetracked
because I think we
is that an hour already?
I think we're close. We're close. It's 8:10, so
it feels like we're all just warming up. Like, we might have to like follow up in the next episode.
We could do like a back-to-back part episode, but
because I feel like we scratched the surface on the topic we wanted to get into. I think it's such an in-depth thing, and like we've both done so much as well. Like it would take us a long time to really go over like a lot of the stuff we've done, and then like how someone else could apply that type of thing to their.
But then at the same time, people might not even want to listen. Like, let us know. Let us know in the comments, or let us know just by messaging us if this is something that you did want to. If you wanted just to sort of delve like even further into a lot of other stuff that we've tried and what we've done and how that went for us and etc. Yeah, but I think the main question was sort of how you balance doing what you do with what you do, whereas we sort of went into how we do what we do
and what we did, like, which to be fair is the starting point for the discussion, because we have to let you know what it is we do first. And I feel like we probably will do like a follow-up episode probably if people want it, to properly go into the balancing of it, because that is where the real difficulty comes in, to be honest. And I think it's a type of thing that you're always wrestling with. Like you might perfect it for a period of time, but only for as long as it is until you have the next thing you want to do. And then you suddenly got to redo it again. And then...
No, I was going to say that. Until you want to expand on what you do.
Yeah.
If you've got things in the capacity you're doing them, that can work for as long as you want it to work. But as soon as you want to get to that next level. Again,
and like if you're an ambitious person, you're going to find that all the time. Every few weeks, there's going to be a new idea where you're like, oh, how can I fit this into this?
For me personally, the way that I managed to get sort of as efficient as I am now was just a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
A lot of mistakes, a lot of learning, but I wouldn't even say I'm as efficient like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have it easy because I work nights and not a lot of hours. Someone like you has it even harder. So like, it would be very interesting for people to hear how you do it. I don't think people really care how I do it. It's quite.
No, but it's interesting to see the contrast of our two, because we are like opposites in terms of work. It's going to be a new little running joke of how many times I cough in an episode. like each episode, we'll see if we get to like episode 10 and if I'm managed to not cough in one,
or if the cough is just like progressively getting worse.
but I feel like I've missed my point now. But like because we have like an opposite schedule, so we still do a lot of creative stuff like we do.
Exhibit A.
There we go. That was the big one that needed to come. But because we do like loads of different creative things, but we're literally operating at the opposite time. So when you're doing a lot of your creative work, I'm working my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And then when you're out doing your main passion-based work, like I'm then doing my stuff. So like it was interesting to see that contrast and how we like fit those things in. But one of the key things, like you just said, failure is like important part of success. And a lot of people, I think a lot of reasons why a lot of people will not even try that new thing, they say, like, oh, I'm not going to be good at it because I'm new to it. Every person that started something is in that same position. Like everyone is a novice when you start something new.
Everyone.
And that's how you build yourself up. So you can't go into doing something new fearing failure, because failure is going to come. And equally, but it's about how you learn from that failure. And then you excel beyond it.
But yeah, equally as well, there's actually pros and cons to both sides. Like being a novice is a lot more, I wouldn't say a lot more fun, but being a novice is easier.
Yeah.
Than being a pro in your industry or like intermediate or whatever level you wanna head up. There's actually pros and cons to every side. Being a pro, there's the expectation, there's the level. Being a novice, there isn't. Being a pro is fun because you're doing what you love and you're achieving stuff you want to. But being a novice, you can express yourself a lot more. So once you become a pro in something, people expect you to be they expect a certain sound from you, expect certain ways that you do. They expect a certain level of professionalism, a certain level of skill. Being a novice, you do whatever you want. Like, and if you find the fun and find your niche and find like what you enjoy out of every level you're going through, you'll never not enjoy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to summarize, obviously we've been summarizing everyone.
But I feel like we definitely need to do a part two, because now we're having this. Now we're getting a bit more into it. It's like I can feel the ideas are springing in my head. But I think we'll just write it down. We'll touch base on it in another episode. But,
yeah, that can be next week's for sure. Like we can go into this as far as we want. But just summarize it as we've kind of summarized all of our podcasts. So the summaries is just throw yourself out there. Try everything that you want to try.
Don't fear failure.
Don't spend too much physical money, but do spend the time.
Yeah.
And there was something else which it's just
kind of like gauge. This isn't the point you're probably trying to make, but like just trying to gauge what you want to do and just thinking about what you can do. Like if you were to pluck 10 thoughts of random things you might want to do out of your head, you could probably get started on most of those things yourself without anyone else getting involved. You could, whether it's looking at YouTube or using Google to try and teach yourself how to begin in a particular field, or you can just literally do so many things by yourself. And I think people forget that. Like people, especially the younger generation, I feel like they're growing up with social media, and that's their version of the internet. It's like solely focused on social media, like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of these things, Snapchat. And it's like, you've got the rest of it too. So it's like, if there's anything you want to do, it's like you can just detach yourself from the social media part or keep it there, whatever suits you. But Google's right there. Google will, this is a side note thing. One thing that really irritates me sometimes is when you see people on social media ask a question on their story. They'll be like, and it'll be the simplest of questions, but they'll be like, oh, how can I do such and such? And it's like, Google's right there.
Yeah.
Google will give you the quickest, most efficient and useful answer for that question. Why are you asking?
100%.
Like,
yeah, or even like TikTok is kind of a search engine now. You can have a video showing you what you're asking. Yeah, no, you made a good point. The summary's there, and then it's like constantly seek discomfort. Like that's your best way.
That's a big thing. Like, and that obviously goes hand in hand with what we said about the failure thing. Like, you've got to expect failure. Like, it's not even a case of trying to, and you don't try and avoid it. When you're starting off, you don't avoid it. You expect it, but it's all about your mindset when it comes. Like, you got to prepare yourself for it when it comes. Okay, what went wrong? How can I improve that? How can I prevent that from happening next time? And then that's how you grow. And then it's like a constant cycle of that until you become experienced in something. But you've got to. I always say, like, anything in life, and I learned this, like, I properly learned this a few years ago where it really set with me. And I was like, yes, this makes sense. Anything in life, like, in terms of something you may want to try and do, or something that you maybe want to do or have to do, if it ever gives you a feeling of anxiety, that should be the signal that you need to do it. It's the thing you need to do. Because once you overcome that anxiety and do it, the fulfillment you'll feel, that's what life's all about. Like, that achievement, like, I did it, I pushed through, I did it. And then, like, if you think of it like a video game, like, that's level 1, you've just done that. Now, for level 2, you're going to get another challenge, which is going to pull you out of your comfort zone. And you got to then get used to getting out of your comfort zone with that. And then that's how you keep going up the ladder. And that's why successful people are just the people that have done that over and over again. Like, and the people that fail are the people that get uncomfortable and back out and never go back. And it's really that simple.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Like,
that's a good point to leave it on as well. Yeah. So that's episode 3.
See you in number 4.
Yeah, see you in number 4. Yeah, and then we're still sticking to our weekly schedule. So,
and I'll try and not cough in the next one.
Peace.